Hola, it's your favorite Dominican here. I want to talk a little bit about Sofia Vergara and the new controversy, right, regarding her comments about her show Netflix, Griselda. But her comments for the ones that have brought some controversy, right, were the ones on her accent and her saying that is very difficult because of her stupid accent, right? She can't play certain characters. She can't play a scientist. If you want to look at what she said and who she is, right, and where she stands in society, where she stands in Hollywood, right, and as an immigrant, right, there are layers to it. There are layers to it that you got to consider before casting judgment on her, right? Because on one hand, right, I get it, right? I get it that for a lot of people it's difficult to hear the grievances of someone who's a multimillionaire, of someone who at the time was the highest paid actor on TV for her role in on Modern Family, which is in itself too. There are people who have their valid critiques about that role that she's playing in there, and also of Griselda, right, of the character that she's playing. But it's also talk about the accent, right? We have to use certain frameworks in order to speak about her, social, political, racial lens. And one of the things that I see is like because she's a woman, it's easy to be a lot harsher on her and her comments. Had she been somebody else, had she been a dude, I highly doubt people would have been up in arms about it, right? Especially, and I'm speaking as someone as an immigrant with an accent, right? And someone who knows having an accent in this country, it comes with a lot of negativity, even from my own people. I came to the States, right? I'm going to give you a little example of my life. I came to the States when I was, 2 months shy of turning 13 years old. Once you reach a certain age, if you are going to learn another language, it's going to be really difficult for you. I don't care what anybody says. The science is there. It's if you're going to speak about certain things, you got to come right from something. Be informed about it. Just don't you just go on vibes and what you hear on podcast or YouTube. Although you might learn a thing or two from them, but hey, for the most part, what are people going to gravitate to? Things that aren't really, yeah, but so Bobby taking my baby here. Things that are juicy, right? Because this is people, the way that we've been conditioned is it's easier. It's more for us, our palates, right? We rather consume what's juicy, right? What can make or destroy people, what can make them or break them. The studies are there, right? If you get here to the States when you're older, right, you are going to have a difficult time learning the language, especially if you weren't exposed to it as a kid. I wasn't exposed to it. I wasn't exposed. I didn't know a lick of English. I knew nothing. I knew nothing. Right? And I had to learn. Yeah, a completely different cultures, not just a culture, because there's multiple cultures here. Grammar, spelling, pronunciation, which I still, you can hear the accent, right? And some people can hear a very deep, thick accent, and others just hear a New Yorker, right? And others hear a combination of it. And you get it from your own people too. So it is true what she says. You get it from your own people too. For me, it's people exaggerating the Spanish accent, right? Which is, there's this comedy about it. I think it's a low hanging fruit, right? It's just making fun of your own people, or making fun of your parents, making fun of immigrants, which is punching down. I see it punching down, whether people like it or not. It's the truth. Do I think my career would have been way farther if I didn't have an accent? Of course I do. Of course I do. You think someone is me, right? And I'm gonna go there, right? Because one of the things that Bell Hooks says, you have to recognize your genius. You have to be love yourself enough to see certain things, and it's not just coming from me, right? I am considered from a lot of people, from academics, from the community, from MacArthur fellows, as brilliant, right? As a genius, as one of the few people within the community Latinidad, and could be the United States, one of the few that understands Latinidad, right? More than most people. I can write about it, right? I can express myself, of course, in writing a lot better than I speak it. When people hear me speak, then it already comes with a lot of prejuicios. It already comes with a lot of negativity. It already comes with the things that we have of the xenophobia. It comes with a lot, even from our own people, right? So once you hear a voice and an accent, you already hear there's something missing there. This person is not from here. Even subconsciously, they're missing the beat with the culture. I got somewhat lucky, right? That it's not an extreme, right? Like Sophia, but because I think some people say that she exaggerates. I don't really think so. I've heard her speak, outside of shows and interviews. I don't think she's like, exaggerating her accent, especially if she's learning a language at her age, right? When after I don't even know when she actually learned English. So yeah, so with me, I would have been in all your panels, right? I would have been called by white America. White America would have tapped me already a long time ago, right? I'm validated by the community. I'm validated by the Latino community. I'm validated by the intellectuals within the community, by the Latino somewhat, right? Some who see the benefits of what I have to offer in regards to rhetoric, right? And are humble enough to understand that. With me, right, I would have been at another level. That is just the truth. Right? Even grades, even when people grade you, there will be another level to the grade that I got in school, right? And I'm gonna give you an example of that. I went to film school in Queens College, and I remember I took some pretty high courses in anthropology, right? And in the high levels there, who were students studying anthropology, I was taking a class which I was the head of. I aced all the tests, and it wasn't like just multiple choice. I had to answer in my own words, through my own words. I had to answer questions, right? And I was the head of the whole class. And once the professor found out that I was an immigrant, that I was Dominican, of course, and that I had a deep accent, what did he do? He could understand why an immigrant, right, or a kid from the ghetto, from the hood, because I had an afro, right? I had an afro, could surpass every student who have had all the benefits in the world, all the privileges in the world. How could I have surpassed them in understanding people and culture? So what did he do, right, when I was taking one of the tests, because I just kept acing them? He sat me in front of the class because he was like, how could this kid be, understand these concepts a lot more than these people? And he sat me there, and I was like, in front of the class, just to see me responding to the questions. And that already gave me, that already sent things to my head that what is he doing? What is he doing? Why is he doing that to me, right? So that's gonna start messing with your grades, and of course my grades went down after that, not because of I could understand the concepts that we were studying, but because he was the one that did that. You understand what I'm saying? It was the dude. It was the dude. But it goes that when it comes to xenophobia, when it comes to racism and all that, it's all from people, man. It's all kinds of people. It's not that's not just gender based. So that is an example of that, right? And I remember too when I got out of school, right? I was doing production, like production assistant, and I was, looking for to volunteer places. I remember we went to, well, me not it. I went to this internship, which it wasn't even on the record, working for a producer, and there were like I don't know, like 10 young people working there. And the guy who was doing the interviews, right? He was an American male, born and bred. He didn't pick me. He said, "Okay, thank you for coming." But the guy who was, I believe, I don't know if he was Russian or what. He asked me, he pulled me aside, who was the boss of that guy, because I don't know what it is with people who are, middle management, that I tend to be liked a lot more by people who are higher up there. Anyway, so he pulls me aside and he tells me, come back Monday, right? And I'm like, okay. And I remember when he sat us all together, right? We were ghostwriting the script. He asked all the young people that were there, right? All these smart, very smart people. What do you think of people with accents, right? And they all said, I think they're stupid. I'm like, I'm looking at them. I'm like, I'm sitting right here. I'm like, I'm sitting right here next to y'all, and just thinking through my head, and I'm like, I'm smart. I'm probably smarter than all of you combined. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why? What is it? What is it? Even with people that would consider themselves progressive and liberal, they have all these biases, all these the bigotry and prejudice, and I'm pretty sure that's what Sofia's going through, right? What she experienced with her career. And of course, people say she could play, of course she could play a scientist, but are they going to give her the role of a scientist? Most of the people that play scientists, right? A lot of scientists they're foreign, right? They're foreigners, and they do have accents, but they don't get picked. A lot of people, actors that have an accent, don't get picked to play scientists. What happens is that they choose someone from here, born and raised here, that speaks English fluently, to play someone with an accent. And you guys know this, man. You guys know this, and I think that's what she meant, right? I think that's what she meant, and I don't think we should penalize her for that, But there are the layers to it. The layers to it that I want to get back to it is that if she, being a woman, right, it's already a negative going against her. Being Latina is already a negative, a strike against her. Being a white Latina, then okay, that's a leg up already. There's a leg up that she's got there, right? Being someone that is conventionally, if we can even call it that, attractive, that's already another leg up, right? Because that's one of the things that Gina Torres said. For instance, she said, they want their Latinas to look Italian, and she's got it going on right there. She's got it, she's got all her curves. So that has benefited her. That has opened doors for her, right? Those things. But we can't forget that there is xenophobia by the privileges that she's got. We also have to understand that it's for a lot of people, even from for advocates. I get it. I get where they're coming from because Sofia, in her country, she looks like an oppressor. But here, right, she's gonna get a lot more benefits than from a Latino who's darker. That's just the reality of things. But she's still gonna be discriminated because she's a woman, right? Because she's Colombian, because she's from Latin America, and because she has an accent. Her grievances, right, are valid. You can have all your critiques about her, but I think we have to be fair about it. We have to be fair, and she's right about the fact that had she not had an accent, yeah, she would have played a lot more role. They would have given her a lot more roles. And yeah, you want to, if you can go and talk about Salma Hayek and other women that have gotten, but it's not, it's she's like one of the few. It's not that very many. It's not that very many. She's like one of a few. And her trajectory, right, is entirely different than Sofia Vergara. Sofia didn't come from an acting world. She came from a host. She was a host in Latin America, in Colombia, right? She was doing reality shows. And Salma Hayek came from acting, from novelas. And a different class of privilege, because Salma Hayek did come from privilege. People don't want to talk about that thing, don't want to talk about it because they think, okay, you're Latino, you're an immigrant, you automatically, are suffering. You're automatically, you get some discrimination, but there are levels to it. And I think for Sophia, we have to understand where that is coming from and why she wouldn't be considered, especially as a sex bomb, right? It's what people are going to consider her, and the roles that she's chosen, right? The roles that she's chosen, and I think I wouldn't penalize her for it because I don't think it would have been difficult for her. Sometimes you have to, the lanes are there, and it's either that lane or nothing, right? And that's how it happens to us in many, many different industries. Many, I'm talking about many. All of we for the most part, we in the Western world and here in the U.S., we have to do things that we don't want to do. Sometimes those things hurt us and our communities, but because we need to survive at the moment, that's what we got to take. So Sophia, I think she's making the best of what she can, right? With what she can, and I think, and also, right, when it comes to Griselda, if we talk about people want to talk about roles, and I know I'm going over it right now. We want to talk about roles, right? And I'm gonna compare it, to the Italian American community when it came to filmmaking, right? Because they elevated their craft during the '70s with a lot. There's some mafia films too, which a lot of Italians are not gonna like. They don't want to be associated with that. But the difference is, right, with those films is that and us considered, right, drug dealers, right? We're getting those roles, right, for the most part, as drug dealers, as low level drug dealers, right? Is that Griselda is the main character, and that's what was happening with the Italian community, playing, and the Italian directors writing main characters and having the Italians playing main characters. Griselda is the main character. There's a difference between a low level, you know, I wouldn't say a low level is a harsh word for a character, right? Because you can play a character like that, but what we were getting were one-dimensional characters. With Griselda, she has a little more leeway to be three-dimensional, right? Um, to have more range, and that's what happened with Italian Americans, right? You're the lead here, In these films, we weren't the leads, So there's a difference between that, and if you also want to go into the whole humanizing, right? Griselda, who was very vicious, then yeah, that's fair. That's valid. We can get into that, but that would require another conversation, right? And not to justify, right? Not to. I don't condemn or condone the character or in the show, but the person, yeah, she was vicious. But if you want to talk about art, right, the art of filmmaking and shows, there has been a lot of evil people that have been humanized, that and in these shows and these films, right? And I don't think for us it's like I wouldn't focus so much on Griselda the person, right? But I would focus more on Sofia and what she's doing with the show. As long as she's doing, she's playing a great character. That's what I'm hearing. She's doing great with it. If she's doing great with it, she's hiring Latinos writers too, and directors. If she's leading that, then hey, by all means, I support her in that. Everything else, I think is for the birds. Everything else is just noise. But tell me what you got to say about that. What do you think?